So you want to learn web development? Well, you have come to the right place. My name is Kevin, and in this series, I'm going to teach you all of the fundamentals you need to know to get from 0 to 60 in beginning web development. This course is great for those who either maybe don't have any experience with software development, or maybe people who have taken a few courses and want to reinforce some fundamentals or just learn a different style and approach. My goal for this series is to teach you in a way that's practical, that lets you get your hands dirty right from the beginning. We're going to lean on the understandings and techniques that most modern developers use. We're actually going to skip a bunch of the slide, intro, theory sort of stuff and just throw ourselves in the deep end and learn how to swim. This course is designed to be fun, tangible, and by the end, you'll be proud of what you made. This course covers HTML, the language of web pages, CSS, the language that lets you style content in web pages, JavaScript, the language that makes web pages dynamic and interactive, and a touch of React, which is a library, a JavaScript library, that helps you build user interfaces. All you need is a computer, this series of videos, and some perseverance. Before we get started, I want to give you a sneak peek at what you will be able to make by the end of this series. This is actually the app that we are going to build together all along the way. We're going to take it step by step, and I invite you to maybe have this video up on one side of your screen and your code editor up on the other, and we're going to build it together. Over the course of this course, we're going to build this to-do app together. Now, I'm in some design software here, so this is just a mock-up of it. But we can see that there are two screens in this app. The first screen is this list view, where we have several to-do list items. We can add a task at the bottom. We can clear away any completed tasks. Maybe we can delete tasks when we hover over them. And we have these tabs at the top to change views. Over in the other view, we have this cool mode called Focus Mode, which gives you only one task at a time so you can really focus in. You can mark that task completed, and we even have a Nope button down below if you just want to skip that task and maybe go on to another random one. If this sounds scary, don't worry. We'll take it step by step together, and I'm going to teach you all of the skills you need to build something just like this. So I know it's just episode 1 here, but we're going to start coding like right now. So let's download a code editor. Open up your browser. I'm going to be using Chrome throughout this series, and search for VS Code. VS Code, or Visual Studio Code, is the program we will be using to edit our code in this series. Right when you go to the website, you should have a download for Mac or download for Windows. It will work, and everything we're doing in this series will work on both Mac and Windows. Go ahead and download this to your computer and install it. Once you have Visual Studio Code downloaded and installed, go ahead and open it up for the first time. Now, before I even teach you any coding, we're going to start typing into this editor. And part of this is I want to demystify what code really is, or at least what web development code is. So we're going to start by writing our very first HTML, which, if you remember from the intro, HTML is the language that makes web pages. It's how we define our content and our structure of our page. So in VS Code, go up to the File menu, and we're going to click on New File. Down in the lower right, you'll see something called plain text. Go ahead and click on plain text and search for HTML. What this is allowing us to do is change the type of this file. This helps Visual Studio Code to understand what this file type is and offer us suggestions along the way. So right here in the editor, let's type some text. Remember, the app we're going to be able to build by the end of this is that to-do list. So maybe we could type some to-dos here. I'm going to use hyphens for bullets and type out a few to-dos. So Let's say download VS Code and then install VS Code and begin coding. Okay, now save your file. You can do Command S on Mac, Control S on Windows, or up here in your file menu, you can go to save. I'm gonna save this to my desktop to make it really easy to reference. And let's just call it page.html. Now you may be thinking, it doesn't feel like I'm coding, but you just made an HTML file. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. So if I go to my desktop here, I have this page.html file that we just saved. I'm gonna double click it to open it up in my browser. And you can actually see that we have some text on the screen now. Now it's not on new lines like we had it in our file, and it's not very pretty and you can't do anything with it. The point here is that HTML is just text. You edit that text in a code editor and you open it up in a browser. So without actually knowing any code, you've saved your first code file and opened it up in the browser. Congratulations. Let's take it a step further and actually make this look like a bulleted list. I'm gonna arrange my windows here so we can see this side by side. And I'm going to get rid of this file explorer by clicking on the icon up here in the top left. So if I wanted to turn this into real bullets on the page, a bulleted list, we can use what are called tags in HTML. HTML is built up almost entirely out of tags. So what is a tag? Tags are segments of code that we surround our content with, that we wrap our content with, in order to tell the browser how it should be structured or displayed. So in the case of a list like this, we use the li tag. So what you'll do is start with a less than sign, type in li, and end with a greater than sign. These are sometimes called angle brackets too. What you just typed is your first HTML tag. It's an li tag, which stands for list item and helps us to create lists. Now this is a starting tag, but in HTML, most things need ending tags as well, so you can tell it where your list item ends. So at the end of the line, we'll type something very similar, begins with our opening angle bracket, but then we do a forward slash to signify that this is the closing tag. Now, I didn't even type anything else, and Visual Studio Code went ahead and closed this off for me. So Visual Studio Code helps you along the way as you're coding. Let's go ahead and wrap the others in these tags as well. So I'll do open angle bracket, li, close angle bracket, open angle bracket, forward slash, and close that li tag off there as well. Then I'll do open angle bracket, li here, and finally closing this off. Now let's hit save again. And this page is already open in our browser, so let's just hit refresh. And boom, there we go. Now our items are actually displayed on their own lines, and they're each in a bullet. Feels kind of easy, right? Let's take it another step further. Let's put a descriptor at the top, and let's have something here that says you have 3 tasks. And I'm just going to hit save here, refresh. You can hit the button or Command R on Mac. You have 3 tasks. Okay, pretty cool. What if we wanted to bold 3 tasks? We wanted to emphasize that. So we can use the strong tag in HTML. All tags in HTML have this structure. Some sort of little snippet of text surrounded with the angle brackets. So if I want to bold the text 3 tasks, then I can add another tag right here, right before 3, that is the strong tag. Now we can see that when I open this tag here, Visual Studio Code actually went ahead and closed it for me. So I'm just going to cut this and paste it after tasks. So now we have 3 tasks surrounded in this strong tag. So save your file with Command-S, Control-S, and refresh the screen over on the right. Now our text is bold. You have 3 tasks. So you can see that HTML is made up of a lot of just plain text in here, along with these tags that end up being invisible to the user, but they define the structure of the page and a bit of styling here, as you can see with the bolding. So this was just your first taste of HTML. We're going to continue like this throughout the series, building one fundamental on top of another, step by step together, all the way up until we have the skills to build out this to-do app. In our next video, we're going to get our first taste of JavaScript. I'll see you there.